guys! What's going on, everybody? We have finally come to that time of year. 2024 is wrapping up, and if you guys haven't noticed already, people have started to put up their best and their worst lists of 2024. But unlike a lot of other people who like to do their best and then their worst, for me, I do my worst and then my best. I have noticed in a lot of recent years that people don't like to do a top 10 worst. That's because they just don't like to, have more negativity out there, to which, hey, completely understandable. More power to you if you don't want to do it. I completely get that. I personally feel that in order to see really, at least for me, I don't know how a lot of you out there, but this is personally how I feel. I personally feel that in order to really feel of what great films feel like and what they are, I feel that I need to go through the pipes, through the trenches of shit, like in Shawshank Redemption, experience all the crap, all the terrible stuff, and then I feel like I can finally be like, these are great films. I am here to go through the trenches once more that put me through the 7 circles of hell and made me question my sanity and made me go, why in the fuck did I just lose my precious time and give my precious time to these specific films? But before I continue on, I don't have the right wardrobe nor the right background. Give me 1 second. This calls for a transformation. 1 moment. Alright, now that's more like it. It is time for me to share my top 10 most hated films of 2024. These are the films for me that to say in just a few words that I hated, I despise these movies, and these are the films that just made me question everything that I love about movies. Before I continue on and say anything else, a couple of guidelines I must issue as per usual. First thing is this: I have not seen every single film that came out this year. 2024 had a crap load of films, and if you guys want me to wait until I saw every single movie this year, we'll be waiting way longer. Second of which is this. This is my personal ranking, my subjective list for the films that I dislike the most. Now, if you have films they ranked higher, films they ranked lower, that's completely okay. This is not the top 10 worst list, but it's my top 10 worst list. And hey, if you liked certain films out there that are on this list, cool, more power to you. I just didn't like these movies. Last but not least, let's have a great time roasting. But in this case, roasting is usually about talking shit and having a good time with someone that you love. In this case, we are going to, in the words of a wise man, rip and tear until it is done. Before I continue on with today's video, I just wanted to say, welcome to my channel, everybody. For those of you who are coming by my channel for the very first time, be sure to hit the subscribe button to not miss a feature video, whether it's a feature review, a reaction, a top 5, a top 10, or whatever I have coming your way, and join me on my journey to 10K subscribers and beyond, because believe me when I say this, guys, you are not going to miss the cool stuff I have coming your way. And for those of you who are coming back to my channel, welcome back, everybody. You have no idea how happy I am to see your faces once again. And also, before we continue on as well, let's start our conversation below. What are the top 10 films that you hated the most from this year? Let me know below. Really quick as well, guys, and I know you want me to get onto the list. It's coming, do not worry. I must talk about my dishonorable mentions really quick. The other thing I want to say is to you guys, while these movies didn't quite make my list, I still don't like you guys. And my dishonorable mentions are Venom: The Last Dance, The Watchers, Red 1, Argyle, Mufasa: The Lion King, and one that I just know is gonna send people probably into a riot. Sorry guys, I did not like Anora. Sorry guys, it is time to go through the shit and rip and tear and talk about my top 10 worst films of 2024. Starting with number 10, let's get it on.
Number 10.
Starting my list at my number 10, I have Kraven the Hunter. Kraven the Hunter is yet another failed attempt by Sony at taking another Spider-Man villain and making a Spider-Man-less film and making another villain origin story and trying to have us sympathize and have some of an understanding as to why another Spider-Man villain is doing his own thing. Aaron Taylor Johnson, do not get me wrong, is doing everything that he can to carry this movie forward. He's trying his best to make this film as tolerable as possible. The action sequences are actually very well done. Some of them are actually pretty damn cool. Other than those two things, this movie is not only such a bore fest, it's another generic villain origin story, but also this movie has some of the most over the top, and I don't know how to describe the acting, especially from Rhino, who goes, sorry, that may have been another exaggeration. Sony, I really hope you've gotten an ad system, because really, no more. Stop doing this. We've had enough. Please, stop.
Number 9.
Coming up next, at my number 9 spot, is easily, for me, the most overrated film of 2024, and I know that a lot of people are going to just come after me on this one, but I'm sorry, guys. I did not like In a Violent Nature. In a Violent Nature, for me, was not only one of my most anticipated movies of the summer of 2024, but really of the entire year. I mean, come on, guys, think about it. This movie, for me, should have been a slam dunk, knowing what the concept was, what the pitch was, and especially after seeing the trailers, which looked absolutely amazing. But unfortunately for me, this movie is not only so long, so dull, so boring, so padded out, and just so... The concept and the idea for this movie I absolutely loved, but the execution for this movie was just not good at all. In a Violent Nature does not feel like a movie. This movie felt like a proof of concept, a student film, or a short film that was so greatly elongated that by the time it got to the ending, I still feel like it wasn't going to end. And by the time it actually ended, I felt like that I wasted my time on something that should have been something so great. The next either classic or cult classic for horror. I really wanted to watch this movie, guys, but unfortunately I came out... God, I really wanted to like this one.
Number 8.
At my number 8 spot, I have Imaginary. This movie was originally in my top 5 worst films of this year, but as I saw more movies this year, the other movies that I saw, surprisingly enough, put this movie lower on my list. Not only did I find movies that I disliked or even hated more than this film, but believe it or not, guys, I actually find Imaginary to be the most forgettable movie of 2024. Imaginary is a movie that, with this concept, if it was executed right or greatly, this could have been a really cool horror film. But I feel like we should know better, especially knowing that the director of this film, Jeff Wadlow, had directed 2 previous horror films that weren't so great. Truth or Dare and Fantasy Island. And man, Jeff Wadlow, man, 3 for 3 in terms of misses. This movie is completely barefoot. It's completely free of scares, let alone any tension. How do you get a legendary actress like Betty Flarking Buckley and you waste her on this movie? Oh, and do not get me started on that twist this movie and where it goes in the end. Fucking stupid.
Number 7.
Coming on to my number 7 spot is easily a film that is riddled with the dumbest characters I have seen in horror for the longest time, and that is The Strangers Chapter 1. When I say that this movie is riddled and filled with the dumbest fucking characters I have seen in a horror film in ages, that's a an understatement. Not only is the boyfriend a complete asshole, but he is such a dumb fuck in this movie. There were certain situations into which how I was reacting, I am certain I was annoying the other people around me in my theater because, man, the amount of times I just kept on going like this. This movie is a chapter 1. Yeah, there are 2 more installments coming in this movie. Chapter 1 feels like just a setup, an act 1 with maybe there's an inciting incident there, but everything that happened in this movie feels like it is so padded out and so drawn out. I cannot put into words with how frustrated I grew with these characters at one point. Please, guys, watch the original Strangers. That is all you have to see. Don't watch Pray at Night, and please, for the love of God, do not watch this one. Please, for the love of God, guys, please avoid this movie and just keep your sanity. Please keep your sanity.
Number 6.
It hurts me a lot knowing that this movie is on my top 10 worst list, but man, for me, the most disappointing film of the year for me at my number 6 spot is Joker Folie à Deux. I cannot put into words not only how disappointed I am in this movie, but how much it hurts me knowing that this movie is not only on this list, but just how bad and how terrible this movie was. As I was in that theater with my dad, watching Joker Folie à Deux, as time went on, not only did I become more upset, more sad, but just angry that this movie not only desecrated, but it felt like a slap in the face, not only the Joker character, but also the DC. A pseudo-musical with the Joker and Harley Quinn, these dance numbers trying to see what's reality and what's dream. Like, this could be such a cool idea. But it negates what the Joker is. It negates what the Joker is. At a certain point in this movie, I kept thinking, the Joker wouldn't do this. The Joker would never feel this way. The Joker would never even think like this. What the fuck is going on right now? Especially in that ending. In the words of Professor X-Men First Class, I expect more from you.
Number 5.
Coming on to my top 5. These films, in particular, on my top 10 worst films of 2024 movies, these are the films that, you know, not only tested my patience, my nerves, and I just kept on losing sanity more and more with each specific film. At my number 5 spot is the film that kicked off 2024 in such fashion, to say the least, and that is Night Swim. Do you guys remember Night Swim? If you don't, I'm happy for you because, man, I remember every fucking second. This movie is adapted from a short film. That short film is less than 4 minutes. The Night Swim short is actually really, really good. There's tension, and there's actually some nice scares in that short film. It's actually a really good short film. But man, oh my god, this should have stayed as a short film and nothing more than a short film. So damn boring, filled to the brim with nothing but jump scares, but also one of the most insane plots that I have probably heard for a horror film in quite some time. A movie following a former baseball star that has, I believe it's Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, if I'm not mistaken, please let me know below. This baseball player goes into a haunted swimming pool. I'll get into that later on. A swimming pool that has regenerative features, that has healing properties that heal him? Did you guys hear the part where this movie is about a haunted swimming pool? What the actual fuck? Easily the worst horror film of 2024.
Number 4.
At my number 4 is a movie that, you know what, people may have higher on their list. Heck, it might even be number 1 for some people. But for me, my number 4 is Madame Web. The reason why this movie isn't higher, or as a matter of fact, the reason why this movie is my number 1 is because of this. This is a movie that from the trailers, it looked terrible. It looked like a dumpster fire. It looked like a clusterfuck to no end. And sitting down and experiencing this movie, it was exactly that. I got exactly what I thought of this movie. This movie could have been a really cool origin story for not only the character of Madame Web, but every other person in this movie. And you know what the worst thing is? I forgot the other characters in this movie. So terribly edited, so terribly acted, and with some of the worst ADR I have not only heard, but I have ever seen. Almost non-existing character arcs, and some bits that are so stupid and so unfocused, and some bits that are such a chore to watch, and some bits that are so badly executed that I actually started laughing at times. From beginning to end, Madame Web is just a total clusterfuck. It's a misfire on every single cylinder. Madame Web did have potential, yes. This movie had potential to be something great, and who knows, even despite the terrible trailers, it could have been a huge surprise where I would have gone like, wow! But nope, what we got here was easily the biggest clusterfuck of 2024. At my number 3 spot, I have Rebel Moon Part 2. Before you diehard Snyder fans jump down my throat, I just want you guys to know right now, I love Zack Snyder, Dawn of the Dead, 300, Watchmen, The Snyder Cut, Army of the Dead. This man has made films that I really enjoy. But Snyder has also had some misses. Sucker Punch, Rebel Moon, and it kills me to say this, but Rebel Moon Part 2 is without a doubt his worst movie. This could have been the next Star Wars, the next Seven Samurai, the next great space opera. It could have been fucking awesome. All Zack Snyder does is that he takes everything that he loves from those movies, copies and pastes on Rebel Moon Part 2 without doing his own thing. Now sure, and do not get me wrong, do these movies look pretty? Sure. But looking pretty is only going to get you so far. Rebel Moon Parts 1 and 2 are essentially this great badass looking Mustang, a badass looking Porsche, whatever kind of fast car that you have that looks incredible. But underneath that hood is nothing more than the most stock engine possible that thinks it is cool to have just absurd and non-stop slow-mo shots of farming for a good majority of the film. I have no interest in the director's cut. I have no interest, and I have no interest in more Rebel Moon movies. And I know that Zack Snyder is capable of making something great, but god dang, this was not it.
Number 2.
Oh my god, number 2. The most grating film, the most annoying film of the year, and that is Borderlands. In more recent years, I do feel like that video game adaptations have gotten better. As a matter of fact, just this year, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was great. In fact, it was a great time. But then we get movies like Borderlands that showcase another filmmaker, another studio that they just don't get it. They don't get why Borderlands could have been something great. Borderlands 2 and Tiny Tina's Wonderland are so much fun. They're such great first-person shooters with great personalities, full of color, great action, and a great story with a great badass musical score. This movie does have a pretty great cast. I mean, guys, look at the cast here. Kevin Hart, to which, why in the shitting hell was he cast as Roland? Cate Blanchett as Lilith. Again, I love Cate Blanchett. But no. Jamie Lee Curtis as Tannis, who doesn't even have a freaking role in the games besides having a couple of bits. Why is Krieg a DLC character, a main character? And also Tiny Tina. Again, a supporting character made as a main character. Tiny Tina in the games is one of the most lovable characters in the game. She has such a great personality to her. And good God, there are so many times I just want to take her and just shake her. What the f are you doing? And worst of all, Claptrap, voiced by Jack Black. Easily and without a doubt, the most annoying character of the year. I wanted to just take you apart for scraps and sell you to the nearest pawn shop or whatever. This movie had loads of potential to be one of the most fun, chaotic, and colorful films of the year. Nope.
It's number one.
Here we are, coming on to my number one worst film of 2024. The film that I hated. The film that every single cell and every single eon in my body despised. I was telling myself, leave the freaking theater, Austin. You're wasting your time. What the hell are you doing in this movie? Stop it. Stop watching. Just keep what you have in your sanity intact. Stop what you're doing. Why are you doing this to yourself? My number one worst movie of 2024 is without a doubt The Crow. When it comes down to the other movies on this list, my 2 through 10, each one of these movies had potential. Each one of these movies had something going for it. And yes, I mean that a movie about a haunted swimming pool had more potential. This movie had no potential. This movie had nothing going for it. This is one of those types of films that, as I'm watching it, I just keep on thinking, I have a couple of questions. One, how was this film greenlit? How was this film funded? How did anybody that was working on this movie sign on to this? How was this movie distributed? How does this movie have had anything? How? Brandon Lee's The Crow, Alexander Price's The Crow is an incredible film. It is a film that still holds up to this day. Whether it comes down to the directing, the writing, the look, the atmosphere, the soundtrack, the score, the performances, everything about that film is great. That is a film that still holds up and it has a beautiful legacy, not just because it is the legacy of a guy who tragically died on that set. The original Crow as a movie is a film that is still looked to for inspiration still this day by modern filmmakers. This version, however, does not have a single thing going for it. Nothing about this movie is either compelling in a visual standpoint or a storytelling perspective. This movie bombed in spectacular fashion, and you wanna know why? Almost everybody I knew did not want this movie to happen. People voted with their wallets, people voted with their opinions, and it clearly shows why this movie was not wanted. The Crow 2024 is without a doubt, no questions asked, the worst movie I saw this year, and it's the one film that I saw that I wanted to leave and never go back and only think about the incredible piece of filmmaking that original film was. The Crow 2024, and the words of my good buddy Lucas, can suck the devil's dick. Whew! Oh my God, did that feel good. That is gonna wrap it up for my top 10 worst films of 2024. I know I already said in the beginning of the video, but please guys, comment down, let me know below, what are your top 10 worst films of 2024? And also give me a couple of honorable mentions. Let me know below. I hope you all enjoyed my top 10 worst films of 2024. If so, please hit the like button. Or if you dislike this video in the list, hit the dislike button. If you guys want to see my previous 2 reviews, please click right there or right there. And of course, anytime my next reviewer video or my top 10 best films of 2024 video goes live tomorrow, I will see you all next time.